Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving into the 2026 senior driving rules and how to literally not lose your license. Listen, if you or maybe someone you love is 65 or older and still getting behind the wheel, we really need to look at this together. Because starting in 2026, the rules for keeping that driver's license, they're changing dramatically. And since they aren't changing everywhere at the exact same speed, millions of seniors are about to get caught completely off guard by these new state-level protocols. So let's break down exactly what you need to know to protect your driving privileges. Okay, let's dive into this. Will you legally be allowed to drive in 2026? I know, it sounds kind of dramatic, but the suspense here is very real. Millions of perfectly safe drivers could quite literally lose their licenses over seemingly simple administrative changes. Seriously, it doesn't even matter if you've had a spotless driving record for 50 years. These new rules, they're written around age brackets and renewal dates. That means every single person watching this is going to hit a critical renewal deadline way sooner than they think.
And we really have to remember what's actually at stake here, right? A driver's license for a senior is not a small thing. It is your independence. It's your ability to just drive to the doctor on your own schedule, or take trips to see the grandkids, or honestly, just make a quick grocery run without having to ask anyone for a ride. This explainer is basically your definitive guide to protecting that daily freedom. We absolutely don't want it getting swallowed up by sudden bureaucratic shifts.
And this brilliantly illustrates the big shift. For years, the old way of doing things was incredibly convenient. You'd hop online, click a button, and boom, your license was good for another 8 to 10 years. But this new 2026 way, it introduces strict in-person requirements, surprise vision tests, and drastically shorter renewal cycles. That massive gap between how we used to renew and how we have to renew now is exactly where people are going to get trapped. Now, before we go any further, let's clear up a massive misconception. There is no new federal law banning seniors from driving. If you've been hearing rumors about Washington taking away licenses from everyone over 70, you can let out a huge sigh of relief. Actually, scratch that, it's not federal at all. Driver's licenses are strictly under state jurisdiction, which is fantastic news because it means you aren't at the mercy of one sweeping national mandate. But it does mean you absolutely have to be hyper-aware of your specific local rules, since states are tightening their belts individually.
Which brings us to trap number 1, the vision test ambush.
So right now, 41 states already require some form of vision testing, but the age at which that test becomes mandatory is dropping fast. In states like Arizona, Ohio, Oregon, South Dakota, and Utah, a vision check becomes mandatory right at age 65. In Georgia, it starts even earlier at age 64. To see how this plays out in the real world, let's talk about Margaret. She's 71, and she's renewed her license the exact same, super easy way for decades. She drives down to the local office on her lunch break, fully expecting to spend maybe 5 minutes getting a new photo taken, signing a form, and getting right back to her day. Well, instead of a quick photo, Margaret was completely ambushed by a surprise eye chart. She was tired, the lighting in the office was terrible, and she just missed a line she probably would have read perfectly on a good morning. So instead of her license, she was handed a temporary permit and a referral to an eye doctor. Here's the vital lesson, though. Margaret's eyes weren't the real issue. The real issue was the ambush itself. Do yourself a massive favor and get your eyes checked by your own doctor before your appointment so you can walk in with total confidence.
Okay, moving on to trap number 2, the broken website. So states are increasingly revoking those incredibly convenient online and mail-in renewal options for older drivers. Why? Because they want you in the office. They want to run that vision check, take a fresh photo, and subtly observe if you're steady on your feet and clear in your communication. Currently, 17 states, along with Washington, D.C., completely block online or mail renewals for older drivers, mandating that you show up in person. Arizona kicks this in-person requirement in at age 65, while Texas enforces it once you turn 79. If you aren't aware of this, you could find yourself in a really stressful situation as that expiration date rapidly approaches.
Consider Harold. He's 79. He lived in a state that just moved its in-person requirement to exactly his age. Well, Harold tried 3 times to renew online, got an error message each time, and simply assumed the website was broken. So he put it off. By the time he realized he actually had to go in person, his license had lapsed for 11 days. And during those 11 days, if he'd been pulled over, he could have faced a traffic citation. Or worse, if he'd been in an accident, his car insurance might not even have covered him. Assuming the rules haven't changed is a very dangerous game.
Let's move to and see how this builds with trap number 3, the shrinking window. Now, what's really interesting about this data is just how drastically things are changing. When we were younger, a driver's license was often good for 8, 10, or even 12 years.
That massive stretch of time lets you completely forget the licensing office even exists. But relying on that old, decade-long timeline in your head, it's a major liability today. Just look at the incredible shrinking of these renewal windows. In Arizona, once you hit 65, your license must be renewed every 5 years instead of 12. In Florida, at age 80, it shrinks to every 6 years. In Texas, drivers 85 and older must renew every 2 years. And in Illinois, once you hit 87, you are renewing every single year. Basically, every shortened cycle means you're facing the bureaucracy, the vision tests, and the in-person rules way more frequently.
And that leads us to trap number 4, the most dangerous threat.
This threat is the medical and competency review. See, most states have a referral process where a doctor, a police officer, or even a concerned family member can flag a driver. And once flagged, you have to formally demonstrate you can safely operate a vehicle. Now, this process contains a silent trap that costs thousands of seniors their driving privileges every single year. And here is exactly how those dominoes tragically fall. Step 1. An official envelope arrives from the licensing agency requesting a medical review or a test. Step 2. Because it just looks like a plain white envelope, it gets mixed in with grocery flyers and junk mail, and it's ignored or tossed out. Step 3, the deadline to respond is missed entirely. And finally, Step 4, the state automatically suspends the license. And this isn't because the driver failed a test, but simply because they didn't respond to the mail.
So the crucial point here is that perfectly good, careful drivers are having their independence stripped away just for throwing away an envelope, not for crashing. Undoing an automatic suspension takes massive amounts of paperwork, time, and stress. Honestly, if you get any piece of mail from your state's licensing agency, open it the exact day it arrives, read it carefully, and follow those instructions immediately.
But hey, it is not all doom and gloom. Let's talk about the good news, the kitchen table loophole. So take a deep breath because there's genuinely empowering news here and a brilliant little workaround. In states that normally force older drivers to come in person strictly for a vision test, you can often skip the line completely. For example, in states like Florida and Colorado, drivers 80 and older can renew online if they simply have their own optometrist or ophthalmologist electronically submit a vision report first. It's a total game changer. You turn a dreaded bureaucratic nightmare into a standard medical errand on your own schedule. And then you just renew your license right from your own kitchen table.
And let's celebrate this number right here, 87. For years, Illinois was literally the only state that forced drivers to take a mandatory road test just for getting older, starting at age 75. But starting in July 2026, Illinois is finally bringing some common sense to the table and raising that mandatory road test age all the way up to 87. That is a massive win for hundreds of thousands of older drivers who will no longer be forced into unnecessary road tests.
All right, let's get into your license protection plan. Because knowing these changes is only helpful if we actually put it into action, right? Here is your ultimate 5-step checklist to hack the system, stay proactive, and keep your hard-earned independence entirely intact. First, check your specific state's motor vehicle website today. 10 minutes of research will tell you exactly which rules apply to your age bracket. Second, get your vision tested early and on your own terms. Third, ask your eye doctor if they can submit that report directly to the state to unlock that online renewal we just talked about. Fourth, open every single piece of agency mail the absolute second it hits your mailbox. And fifth, pull your license out of your wallet right now and mark your actual expiration date on a calendar, because trust me, those shorter cycles sneak up fast. So, I want to leave you with this provocative question to really think about. Are you fully prepared for your next renewal date, or are you dangerously working off an old timeline in your head? Please, don't let a simple administrative rule rob you of your freedom. Check your driver's license expiration date today. If you found this explainer helpful, share it with a friend, a spouse, or a neighbor who drives. You might literally save their license. And definitely let us know in the comments below, which state are you in and which of these new rules surprised you the most? Keep learning, stay proactive, and as always, drive safe.